Well, here it is, 4:18 in the morning, and my brain will not turn off. And been thinking about being a woman. It's not easy. Not easy at all. Matter of fact, I call there's the decades of a woman. Now, the first decade, up until you're 10 years old, should be pretty much a breeze. Unless you're grown up real quick at the age of 10. You're not quite old enough to babysit because 10 years old, you're a little bit too immature. They want you to be at least 12 or 13 or 14 years old, at least where I grew up. But you're old enough to have your first period. Yeah. Can't babysit, but you can have a baby. It's just a part of being a woman, they tell you. I haven't even gone to high school yet, and you're telling me I can have a kid? There's something wrong with that picture. But maybe it's because of the chemicals they put in all the food when you're growing up, and it just makes your body go like apeshit crazy, and you end up being more mature physically than you are here or anything like that. I mean, at 10 years old, you haven't even kissed a boy yet. And you're telling me that my body is saying, look at you. Don't be kissing no boys because now you can have a baby. At 10 years old, I wasn't even thinking about kissing any boys. But they're telling you, like, well, now that you're having your period and you're menstruating and you kiss a boy, that leads to other things and da-da-da. So from the time you're 10, the next 10 years, you're fighting that urge to even kiss a guy. Because, eventually you get further on than that, and then you have to worry about what happens from there and all the preparations you have to do to avoid not having another one, another kid brought into the world. And, I mean, I'm not at the age in the next decade, between 20 and 30, hell, I'm not ready to have a screaming baby that wakes me up at all hours and won't shut up and you have to deal with the dirty diapers and stuff like that. So, the second and third decades are no fun. Well, You also have this battle of the brain in the second decade. Do you want to continue with school? Do you want to have a career? Do you want to go to work? Do you want to get married? And there's just so much to deal with up here. It's like, oh my goodness. I mean, I'm just a female. I'm just a woman. And I got all this pressure of all this stuff that I got to deal with. That's because of that. That's a hard juggle. Well, in my, then you have these other things like when you get out of school. If you're going to go to college, you're going to live on campus, or if you're not going to go to college, or are you going to get an apartment when you move out of your family arrangement? Are you going to look for a house? Like, some people do. They're able to, like, they get a good job out of school, and all of a sudden they get a bunch of roommates and they rent a house. Or are you going to go live in a mobile home? Yeah, don't even give me that trailer trash thing. I got enough from that from my own family. Yeah, I took the mobile home route because of one thing. I refused to live in an apartment because I did not want to deal with people upstairs being noisy and loud and babies crying upstairs and so on and so forth, and then being stuck in the middle on a multi-level apartment building and having the people below you being party animals, and you're trying to sleep because you're trying to work a job and have a career, but the people that live above you and below you are so annoying and obnoxious that you can't sleep. So I took the mobile home route. Yeah, family wasn't really crazy about that. Yeah, I got the whole trailer trash thing going. And I'm like, I'm your family. Where do you get this from? And, I had some nice neighbors. See, having a mobile home, it was a win-win for me. Do you want to know why? Because I could be as loud as I wanted, whether it was me having grown up time with my husband at the time, or just if I wanted to, if I felt like it. I could be loud. I wanted to be the party animal. I didn't want to have to deal with party animals. I just want to be the party animal in my own four walls. So that's why I picked the mobile home. I even had a little garden outside. I had a little bit of dirt that I could dig up, put stuff in there. You can't do that in an apartment. I grew up out in the country. I gotta have my garden. Yeah, but instead of the career thing, which I was really aiming for, because I did go to a business college and thought I would get a nice office job and be an executive assistant and that sort of thing. I ended up being a mom to my husband, mama's boy. Couldn't make a decision on his own if he wanted to, didn't know how to fix nothing. I fixed everything. I had the hammer, I had the nails, I had the power tools. He could care less. And his excuse was, well, you like to do that stuff. And you love it when guys say that. Oh, well, you like to do that stuff, so I'm just going to let you do it. Lazy asses they are. What did I call them? Which I didn't know. You don't know. They're a mama's boy to start off with, but he was definitely a mama's boy. But, these decisions us women, we have a lot of shit to deal with. And so here it is at 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's all I'm thinking about. It's like, this really sucks. And then you go into that fourth decade, the 40s. And all of a sudden, now us women, we adjust pretty well. Because by the time we're established, but the guys, they go through their midlife crisis 1, 2, 3 times sometimes. My oldest son went through it 5 years straight. From the time he was 35, he just turned 40. And he's going to hate me if he sees this video. And you know what, honey, get over it. You're now 40. Time to grow up. And then, ladies, just wait till your 5th decade. When you get to that 5th decade, you're starting to get into that, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. I'll dress like I want to, and I'll wear makeup, not wear makeup. I don't care. I'm satisfied with myself, and y'all can just take a flying leap. I'll do my thing. And then you hit the 6th decade, and I passed the 6th decade already. And there was a gentleman who was in probably his 5th decade, and the guys handle their decades different. And he made a comment, and I thought it was really odd because it wasn't someone that I knew. This was a stranger who was actually a customer where I worked. And he said, when women get to be age 50 and 60, they're in their prime. And I went, what? Did you just say what I thought you said? He said, yeah, they're really hot when they get to that age. I go, okay. Coming from a stranger, that's a really odd remark to hear. At least it was for me. It was like a compliment, but then it was kind of scary. It's kind of like when someone tells you how great you look, and then, behind your back there, it's like, can you believe those shoes she's wearing? And I'm thinking, so when women reach 60, they're at their prime. He says they are at the top of their game. This is what this man said. He said, when a woman reaches 60, between 50 and 60, he said especially 60, he says they're at the top of their game. That's when they are ready. And I thought to myself, I went from 10. It's like, I'm not ready. I'm only 10. I'm not even old enough to babysit. And now you're telling me that now's the time? There was back in the day when you were 60, you were 1 foot in the grave. Hell, I was getting notices in the mail for, what do you call it? final expenses, that's the word I'm trying to think of. The final expenses that the government pays only this much amount for, and da-da-da-da, and they want you to sign. I said, I'm only 50. Why are you sending me stuff about me dying? I ain't dying yet. So I will tell you one thing about the 6th decade of life, ladies. You don't give a shit. Or at least I don't. People can say what they want to say, and you just really don't give a shit. Because you've seen it all. You've seen a lot. Not all of it yet, because there's still stuff that I see and I go, whoa. But I turned, believe it or not, I turned 65. And it sucks. Not because it's 65. It's because it's like you work your whole life and you pay into the system and you give all you've got and you work overtime and you work all this just to pay your bills and make ends meet and feed your kids and put clothes on their back and maybe go back to school or whatever. And then all of a sudden you turn 65 and guess what? All that lovely stuff they tell you that when you retire is so great when you retire is bullshit. Because they take a chunk of it back, because now they're telling you, well, you have to have Medicare, you have to have Medicaid, you have to have Part A, Part B, blah, 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 whatever the hell that all that shit is. And so they take the money back. Your money you put in, they take it back. So now you have to live on less, even though you put it in there to live off of it when you've got to be in your 60s. Something wrong with that picture. Did you know the IRS was only supposed to be a temporary fix? I found that out. And that really made me more mad. So when you retire, ladies, it's not really retirement. And that's why everybody says that they work harder being retired than when they were working a 9-to-5 or 40-hour job, being paid. Because now you have to work twice as hard to make up for the stuff that they're taking back. Yep. That's the 6 decades of a woman's life. Now the guys, I don't know. I'm not a guy. I don't know exactly what they go through. But, we're supposed to hold the fort down. And we're supposed to be the planners and the one that keeps everything kind of smoothed out. Keep things going. And we do the best we can, don't we? But the decades of a woman's life sometimes is pretty blasted, annoying, unnerving, unsettling, stressful, causes insomnia, causes all kinds of stuff. Makes your mind race like 100 miles an hour so you can't sleep. Because you start thinking about lots of different things. The what ifs and whatnot. They call us worry warts. We're not worry warts. We're just trying to make sure that we're prepared. So if you're feeling this way, or have felt this way, and if you haven't, you're gonna. It's coming up. If you're somebody younger than me and you're watching this video and you're going, she's talking crazy. I'm not. No, this is real life. And this is how it is. Sad but true. And you get to watch all these younger generations coming up and they're got no common sense whatsoever. And you think, where's your parents? Boys are walking around with their pants hanging off their ass. That every time I see one, I yell out the window, pull your pants up, you lazy bum. I don't want to see skid marks. I don't want to see your underwear hanging out. It's so uncouth. Where did the class go? Where did the pride go? I guess it went out the window. Kind of like with the garbage that I see get thrown out the windows of the cars all the time. Still. Used to happen, back in the day, but now it happens more. The more fast food joints we have, the more trash on the road. And then there goes the environment. And all these people screaming and hollering about the environment and the ozone layer and all this and that. And it's like, oh, well, then stop throwing the garbage out that doesn't decompose naturally. It's like, come on, styrofoam. It's not natural. I grew up in the day when I was old enough to change those diapers. It was cloth. We didn't have Pampers. We had pins, rubber pants, which you probably never heard of those. And that's all part of the early decades of me. And the girls nowadays, y'all got it easy because you got all these conveniences. We didn't have those growing up. And here I am talking about stuff that girls go through, or at least of my generation went through. Girls nowadays don't go through all that stuff. Nope. They wouldn't be able to survive if they did. I could see it now if all of a sudden that they did away with Pampers and whatnot, and everybody had to learn how to use cloth diapers. They would just die. They wouldn't know what to do, how to do it, let alone want to deal with it. Maybe that would stop them from having so many kids. It's an idea. Maybe we should just get rid of all the baby diaper companies and show this generation what it's really like to be a real mom. And maybe that would change their minds a little bit. But we survived. Our generation survived. We're still here. And, they call us baby boomers. I don't know what the boom part is. It was not a boom. It was a, try to make it through the day. Still trying to make it through the day. But if you're like me, when you watch these young girls walking around and they're like all gussied up and the big fake eyelashes on their face and all this makeup and they're trying to hook up with a guy and you're going, yeah, right, okay, you go for it, girl. Because there ain't no good ones out there hardly. They're hard to find. Because we got a bunch of them being brought up by mamas with no male influence. And that's sad. We were lucky. Us baby boomer females, we were lucky. Because the majority of us know what it's like to have someone who says he's going to take the belt to you. Or go out and get a switch off the tree and don't bring back a little one. That's what we grew up with. So maybe now that I've had a glass of milk, maybe I'll be able to get some sleep. But if you've identified with anything in the decades of a woman, the first half of the decades, and I can expound on some of those at a later date, but if you can identify with that, give me a thumbs up. And you can, share this video. It's, and they don't have good music anymore. The best music, 70s to 80s, guys. Between 70s and 80s, best music ever. And it was real music. And I mean real music. It had a melody, it had tune, it had harmony, it had horns. Hello, Chicago. And leave me a comment. I'd like to know what's your favorite music. I've started doing a collection of cover bands on one of my channels, and Chicagovich, gonna get to see him this month. Yeah, it's not Chicago, but damn, they sound just like him. And after the comment, if you want to see what else I got going on, just subscribe. Or at least just come back and visit. Come back and say, hey, how you doing, Holler in Holland? And maybe one day I'll tell you why I used the name Holler in Holland. But ask me anything. Give me some ideas. I got a few more. It's kind of hard to think at 4 o'clock. Oh, God. 4 o'clock in the morning. But for you night owls, hopefully this has been a little somewhat entertaining. I'm going to do a, what do you call it? An on-site video soon. just because it's more fun. Yeah. Here in the light of the kitchen. It's not always so that funny. Oh boy. This is not good for you to watch me yawn. So I'm going to cut it here. On this flip side, I'm exhausted. So do me a favor. See me on the flip side tomorrow. And hopefully I'll have a little more energy. And I definitely am going to be a hollering about something. God bless y'all.